What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video here of House Divided. I hope you guys enjoyed this past quarterback ranking video. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going through our free agency predictions and trade predictions of the upcoming free agency and trade period here in the NFL offseason. Obviously, it's hard to tell because there's a lot of rumors out there, but we're going to try to make our predictions here. All right, we can start with the free agents. One of the main free agents, young wide receiver out there, T. Higgins. Where do you think he's going to go this offseason?
Yeah, I feel like he's a unanimous number one free agent this year. Obviously, he's proven it. He's been a fantastic wide receiver for Cincinnati. I think there are a lot of fun fits out there. Washington Commanders are a fun fit. Maybe New England decides to splash some money and get Drake May a number one receiver. But my prediction is that he's going to stay in Cincinnati. I think he gets the tag. I think that's what Joe Burrow wants. And I think, Cincinnati right now needs to be in a place where they're pleasing Joe Burrow. And I think they might not be able to please T. Higgins this year with a long-term deal. But I do think he sticks around for at least one more year on the tag. It would be a very expensive tag because he already played on the tag this year. But I do think he gets the tag.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll stay in Cincinnati. Like you said, there's a bunch of fun possibilities out there, but I think he's going to stay in Cincinnati. And hopefully, if he doesn't get paid this year and gets tagged, he gets paid next year. But they also have to pay Jamar Chase because he's been wanting a new contract for 2 years now. So he's also
I see it in a way where Chase gets his deal and Higgins gets the tag.
Yeah, and I agree. Moving on to the second free agent. The number 2 changes from place to place, but I've seen Javon Holland up there on most of them, safety for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Where do you think he's going to go? You think he stays in Miami or moves on?
I think Miami would be a great spot for him to be. I think places like New York, honestly, would be a good fit for him, both teams. But I'm going to go ahead and say he stays again in Miami. I think that's the best fit for him. He's played there well, and I do think he has a good fit. Miami's got the ability, and I do think they need to keep him. And I don't think he played so well this last year to where he'd get that great a deal if he tests the market. I think he stays in Miami.
I could see him stay in Miami. I'm going to go with the team you mentioned, New York, the Jets here.
Yeah.
I think he'll go to the rival in their division. I wouldn't be shocked if he stays in Miami, but I think the Jets are going to try to go all in one last time, so they'll try to get some defensive help in the safety position. So I think Javon Holland would be a great pickup for them, and depends how much money he's asking for. I don't know if Miami would be willing to pay them that much because they have so much invested in Tyreek and Waddle and Tua, but we'll see what he's looking for. But I think New York will splash that money like they've been doing these last couple years.
Yeah, like I said, I like both New York teams as a fit for him, to be honest, but I like Miami a little better. Jets are definitely, I think, the more interesting option for me in New York more than the Giants. I'd love to see how he fits in. I know there's a real possibility that they lose DJ Reed. We'll talk about him later, but with Sauce and that defense, I think he'd be good in New York.
Yeah. Moving on to here, another wide receiver that might stay at their place. Chris Godwin just got injured this past season, but he is a free agent. I think he's 30. What do you think he's going to go here?
I think he's going to stay in Tampa. I mean, that's not 3 players in a row. I say I'm going to stay with their teams. That won't be the case for everybody. I do, however, think that's the case for Godwin. He's an older guy, but he's got a Super Bowl there. I do think he knows that the way that offense works, it's through him. It's through Mike Evans. They were both hurt, but they were in the playoffs. Last time he was healthy in the playoffs, they won a game. They were played Detroit super close. I do think he's going to get the payday from Tampa.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to stay in Tampa. We saw him at the start of the season look like top 10 receiver in the league. He's always around that range. But Unfortunately, he got hurt, but I think Tampa's going to want to keep him, and Baker's going to want to keep him. But a team I would like for him to go to would be my Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, we're not known for spending in the offseason or getting big free agents, but I think getting Dak, that certified second weapon, and Chris Godwin, he's a veteran. I think that would be a good pickup, but I doubt we get him. But I'm
Yeah.
just, it would be a free agency sign that I would like to see, but I don't.
Speaking of your Dallas Cowboys, I did see that they're meeting with Quinn Ewers at the combine.
I wouldn't mind a backup quarterback, a young backup. But I heard, I think we are going to draft a young quarterback.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Godwin would be a good addition, but we're probably just going to sign a washed up running back and call it our free agency.
I actually do think you guys sign a washed running back to be. I do think you sign him to be a number 2. Even if you don't go Jeanty or Hampton early, I could see maybe Hampton sitting there in the second, or if not, go in Judkins or Henderson. I do see. I think one of those 4 end up in Dallas, though.
Yeah, I think we need some cheap running back and some fresh legs and a 2-man punch there with Rico.
Yeah.
Moving on here to a guy you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, DJ Reed, cornerback, 28 years old. Where do you think he's going to?
All right. We talked a little about swip-swapping in the division. I think he does the same thing, except he doesn't go to Miami. He goes to I think he goes to New England. I think he pairs with Christian Gonzalez, give that Mike Vrabel defense an elite cornerback pair. We've seen how good DJ Reed is with an elite corner on the other side. I think he's going to elevate his game. He's going to elevate the Patriots defense. He's going to elevate Gonzalez's game. And you really want a solid defense to help that young quarterback in Drake May. And I think DJ Reed has a fantastic fit in New England.
I think that's a good shout out. I haven't heard of that one yet. New England obviously has money to spend and be using it there on DJ Reed. A team I've heard a lot kind of connected with him is the Vikings. I think that would be a good pickup for them. I think they also need some help on the offensive end, but on the O-line specifically, because we saw what happened in that playoff game. But I think DJ Reed would be a great pickup for them as well. Maybe Gilmore goes, or we'll see what happens there. Yeah. But I think I've seen a lot of that, so that's what I'm going to say he goes, because that's what I've seen. But I like the New England shout. I think it's different, and New England does have cash to spend. So, yeah. All right, moving on here to another wide receiver, former Dallas Cowboy here, got traded this offseason. Amari Cooper, do you think he stays there in Buffalo, or he?
See, Amari Cooper is a different player than some of the other ones we've talked about. He's older. He's a journeyman. He was decent in Buffalo. There are fits outside there for him. He could go to a wide receiver needy team, maybe if he's looking for a bigger payday. New England's there, maybe Arizona. But I do think Buffalo is thinking that this is their year. They're getting closer and inching closer every year. While they did just give a payday to Shakir and some other receivers started ascending more towards the end of the year, I do think they're going to try to keep the core together, and I think Cooper stays in Buffalo.
I could see that happening, but I want to get a little creative here. I think I like Washington as a fit to get Jaden Daniels and a star next to what's the name, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
But a team going back to his first team, the Raiders. They kind of have a wide receiver problem. I think they'll have some money to splash. They'll want to get whoever they draft a little bit of help, maybe some mentorship, and just a veteran, experienced wide receiver. So I wouldn't be surprised if Amari goes back to Las Vegas. Well, he played in Oakland, but to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And kind of throws us a little throwback. But I honestly probably, if I had to say, I think he does return to Buffalo, but we'll see what happens. Kind of another position here, O-lineman, Trey Smith. What do you think Trey Smith, guard, is going to do this offseason?
Yeah, I saw Rap Sheet broke the story earlier today. He is expected to be tagged by the Chiefs. I think he stays in Kansas City. I think there were fun fits from him out there, but I think Kansas City was always the right fit, the correct fit, and I think he stays. I think he he's okay to play on the tag even if he doesn't get extended.
Yeah, I think he's just going to stay in Kansas City. They're going to try to keep that O-line unit the same and provide protection for Mahomes because that's their main priority for the Chiefs. So I think he does stay and get tagged or maybe get an extension. But yeah, I think Trey Smith is going to sit there in Kansas City. All right, moving on here to a guy who in his prime was a beast, Khalil Mack, Los Angeles Chargers free agent. What do you think is going to end up? Probably a lot of fun fits out there. He's still one of the top premier guys, but not like he used to be.
I know the Chargers want to keep him. I was watching the Pat McAfee interview with Harbaugh and the GM, but I'm going to say I like him in Washington. They need defensive line help. They do have enough space to try to be able to fit him in. They need the help. He's a veteran presence. If they draft someone young, he can be a mentor for them. And if not, he's a great leader. He's still a good player, and I think that's a big area of need for Washington. And they're a team that's going to try to go far in the playoff again and repeat the run this year. And I think that's a great spot for Mac, who's trying to get a ring.
Yeah, I was going to say Washington as well. Maybe obviously staying at the Chargers because he just had a great season for them and they love him there. But if he goes, I would say Washington. And another team that I could see him going to is the Green Bay Packers. They need some outside rush help, and he won't be that expensive considering he's on his way out. So I think that'd be a good pickup for the Green Bay Packers as well.
Green Bay's a good fit. I had considered that one. Definitely, I think they're stronger defensive line-wise than Washington, but I do think he'd make a great piece on that defensive line.
Yeah. Honestly, this last offseason was a running back free agency. This is kind of the receiver free agency. Not saying there's another receiver, but I just thought of that. We
had a lot of receivers come up.
Yeah.
I still haven't even mentioned some of the ones on the trade market. That's for later. But Stephon Diggs is also out of a deal. So we got some.
But he's probably going to stay in Houston if I had to guess. But moving on here to a quarterback, one of yours, Justin Fields. Think he stays with y'all, or?
I do think I think he likes the possibility of New Orleans. I think that's a real option. Maybe Derek Carr gets moved on from. I think he always has a chance at playing for the New York Giants, maybe even the Jets. Those are very uncertain situations. But I do think he stays in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh likes the opportunity of a younger QB that's in the system. Justin Fields has had a different OC every single year of his career, so I think he wants that continuity. I do think he thought he was playing well in Pittsburgh enough to want to stay for another year. It's a solid, stable organization, which I think is what he's looking forward to right now. And I think he's going to be middle of the pack, and that's where Pittsburgh wants to be, so I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I think he'll stay in Pittsburgh, but there are some fun fits out there. Maybe one of those top picks in the draft don't want to draft the quarterback, want to get I don't know, the Titans have the first pick. Maybe they want to get Travis Hunter, and they're like, oh, let's go get Justin Fields and pay him a lot of money. But we'll see what happens. But he's a good fit for all those teams that are in need for a quarterback. But I do think Pittsburgh's going to want to keep him, and I think he'll want to stay if he's going to start. And I think Pittsburgh could promise that as long as they don't trade for something we may talk about here in the future. But moving on here.
If for some reason it's not Pittsburgh, I like the fit in Las Vegas and I like the fit in New Orleans for him.
Yeah, I think, at least for me, I think unless the quarterbacks go, like Ward and Shadur go before Vegas's pick, I think Vegas is going to pick one of the quarterbacks. But if not, they may turn to Fields. But I like the New Orleans shout because I think they might want to go with someone young and high upside like Justin Fields rather than Derek Carr. But Here, moving on to another quarterback who just had a breakout season, but he has a young guy on his tails. Sam Darnold. There could be something crazy happening here, or did he just simply?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely the craziest story of the offseason, the way he plays into so many things if he becomes available. For starters, Minnesota needs to decide where Michigan's J.J. McCarthy is on their timetable. Is he ready physically from the injury? Is he ready mentally? Because we always knew he was a project coming out of college. If they need to decide what their timetable is with that, they need to decide if they're okay with him sitting and bringing back Daniel Jones, or if Daniel Jones is a capable backup to J.J. McCarthy. I do think I think it's a tag and trade is the possibility. I don't think maybe they let him walk. But for Sam Darnold, you also have to look at the Matt Stafford situation. Is he going to leave? LA? Because if he does, that's 100% the spot for Sam Darnold. That's a better spot for him than Minnesota, because he doesn't have any pressure behind him from a young guy. He gets to work with Sean McVay. He's going to have Puka Nacua. He's going to have that young defense. It's a great fit. So that in an ideal world for him, I think he stays in Minnesota, or he goes to Stafford leaves and he goes to LA. If none of those situations happen, I think it's a fairly simple choice. I think you go to the Raiders. You bank on Tom Brady being there, hoping he can be a good mentor. Pete Carroll being able to sustain a good offense. Hope that you can try to lean on the run game, old-fashioned Pete Carroll style. And, try to do something similar. I mean, he did that with Geno, so I think it's a good fit. Those are the three fits for Darnold.
Yeah, I think it also depends how much money Darnold wants this offseason.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
I think we're looking at a Baker deal, 35 around there.
I think he is going to come back. I think the Vikings are going to be a little cautious with JJ, especially coming off an injury like that. So I think they might go one more year with Darnold and see if he's still performing the way he did this year, and then they'll decide next offseason what to do. But I like the little possibilities you threw out there. I think it could happen, but there's a lot of unknowns we don't know yet. Is there any other free agents you had in mind that you want to talk about, or you want to go straight into the trade guys?
I mean, just some shout outs. Milton Williams, I think I would love him in Pittsburgh. He's one of my favorites. I think what he did in the Super Bowl was great. Other fits for him, though, he could go to the Bears. He could go to the Patriots. I think those are both interesting. Ronnie Stanley, I think, is going to stay in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat, a lot of possibilities for him. I think maybe, again, Washington needs edge help. Arizona, I think, is a fun fit for him. Obviously, coming back to Eagles or wherever, I think there's good fits for him there. So, yeah, lots of interesting fits out there. I think Bond is definitely returning to Philadelphia the way he was indispensable for them. So Greenlaw, I don't know. I think maybe he leaves. I think Reddick is going to leave New York. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Byron Murphy is another player I really like. I'd like him in Pittsburgh. I think that'd be a fun fit for us. But there are obviously, I think staying in Minnesota might be a great move for him. Other than that, I don't know if there's anyone else. Hufanga, I think, is going to stay in San Francisco. Bolton is a very interesting linebacker for me out there. There's a ton of players, but I don't know if there's anybody else you want to look at.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like all the ones you mentioned, most of them I feel like are gonna stay. Some could pull out something different, but yeah, Hassan Reddick, we'll see what he does. Interesting or season for him, but Darius Ward, I think he's gonna stay in San Francisco. But yeah, we'll see. Free agency, either everyone just resigns or everyone just goes all over the place.
Yeah.
But
I'm hoping for an all over the place. Those are always the most fun. What the F. Imagine you like a what the F. Godwin's going to Kansas City or something like those are crazy and those are
Yeah,
fun.
but then we let teams like Philadelphia get Saquon Barkley. Let's move on here to the three main guys on the trade block, supposedly. We can start with Matt Stafford. Like you said, do you think he's going to get traded or stay there in LA?
I don't think he gets traded. I mean, I've said it before. I think the Rams were the closest to the Super Bowl than any other team. They played Philadelphia so close in a situation that was so hard for them. They have the pieces. They have a young, exciting defense. They have the picks this year. They have Stafford still playing at a very high level. Cup is playing at a high level. I know there's like the salary cap, but the salary cap is very big this year. I think you can find a way to make it work and try to make one last push in LA for a Super Bowl. So I think ideally, if I'm the Rams, I want to keep him and Cup. I don't want to deal either of them. If he does, though, it's definitely New York, the Raiders, and the Steelers have been the three teams inquiring the most. I would not want to go to New York. I know they have Malik Neighbors. I don't think that's a good fit for him. He wants a ring. The Raiders, I think, are very interesting, mostly because of Pete Carroll and Tom Brady and what dynamic that could bring for him at this part of his career. But I feel like if he does end up leaving, I think Pittsburgh's his best fit. Stable organization, strong defense. I don't know. I think quarterback away for Pittsburgh is a debate you could have. I don't know if they're there yet, but you could have it.
I would say you're quarterback away, maybe not from winning the whole thing, but for like you all are a playoff team, but like from a contender.
Yeah, maybe Stafford could be. Maybe he thinks he's got a. I think that's the only place he could see himself really as a better option. Although I do think Los Angeles is a better option for him.
Yeah, I think he's gonna stay in LA. I think we've seen what last season what the Rams did when they were healthy. They could beat anyone on any night, and they were really good. Like you said, they played Philly closest. I think they should keep Matt Stafford and maybe invest a little bit into the O line.
Yeah, I agree.
That young line is really good. So I just think a little bolstering here and there on the roster, and they can make some noise in the NFC next year.
Yeah, the only way I see this working out for the Rams is I do think if they can get Darnold, I think that would be a great move for them to make, and then I would understand trading. If they're sure they can get Darnold, I'd understand making the moving away from Stafford.
Yeah. Now we got some receivers here on the block. I feel like receivers are always asking for trades out here. We got Deebo Samuel, the hybrid receiver running back guy, trying to get out of San Francisco. What are your thoughts on that?
Very interesting saga. We had this again 2 years ago. He was trying to get out of there. Last year was Brandon Ayuk. Then Deebo Samuel has not a great year this year. He wants to get out of there. I don't see this going a lot. I see this turning out just like Brandon Ayuk did and just like he did 2 years ago. I think he stays in San Francisco. I mean, he has the contract. I think they have the offensive pieces there. I think they can convince him with just the hurt how hurt they were last year. They get McCaffrey fully back. They get Debo back. Ayuk back. So I think they'll be better next year, and I think that convinces them to stay for one more year at least. Before they have to make that big Brock Purdy payday, I think they convince him to stay one more year.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but I won't reiterate what you said. I think he'll stay in San Francisco, but some potential cool moves that could be made is maybe go to Kansas City, maybe go to Buffalo, maybe even the Ravens. I think those teams can make a big splash this offseason and want to get their quarterbacks certified number one weapon. So I think that would be cool. But yeah, I think he's going to end up staying in San Francisco. But now this one, I honestly don't think he's going to end up staying. Myles Garrett, probably the best or always top 2 defensive player almost every year since he got drafted. Absolute beast, is like a tank, built like an absolute tank. So what are your thoughts here? I know where I would love him, but it's not going to happen.
So we obviously requested the trade, and since then there have been a million interviews from people in Cleveland, Stefanski, the GM Barry. They've all said how important he is to Cleveland. They want to keep him around in Cleveland, and they want to keep him for years. I saw the news came out again today that there's no way to convince him that he's done with Cleveland and he wants to trade. Re-emphasize that point. So I do think he leaves. I think he wants the ring, and I do think that relationship's a little beyond repair right now. My funnest fit would be Detroit. I don't see that happening. Washington is a fit I really love. I think they have the capital and the desire and the ability to go get him. Philadelphia crazily can actually do it.
Please no.
But I think it's Buffalo they have the need, they have the fit, they have the desire to win the ring, and I do think if they can bring him in, it would just be absolutely game wrecking. It might be the difference maker that they've been needing. They haven't been able to someone who can absolutely wreck the game defensively in the playoffs, and that might be the difference maker that they need. And they have the picks to be able to go and get him. So I think Buffalo is my prediction for him.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Buffalo is number one, and I think they really want him, and I think they'll try their best to make it work. But a team I would obviously love to see him in is the Dallas Cowboys. But Jerry will
bring him to Pittsburgh. Pair him up with TJ Watt, guys.
Jerry would never pull the trigger. Maybe it's an NFL version of the Luka trade. Maybe it's Micah Parsons for Myles Garrett. But no.
Jerry would tag on 3 first-round picks, Dak, Micah, and CD. That's how you get them.
Yeah, but obviously would love to see that line duo of Micah and Garrett. Obviously not going to happen. Want him to come back to Texas, but it would be cool to see, but not going to happen. I think he is going to go to Buffalo. Yeah, maybe to Washington because they have the cap space and they just saw what Jane Daniels can do, and maybe they're like, oh, let's cash in. Kind of like the Niners did when Brock Purdy. They're like, oh, he's on his rookie contract. Let's go all in now and then pay him later. But yeah, I think Buffalo is the right answer. I think him and Josh leading both sides of the ball, unstoppable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the offseason. A lot of fun possibilities out there. It's obviously the season's fun, but the offseason is as fun just watching all these teams being built and having fun visions for your team or any team, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I love free agency so much that I see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting a big player and I get super excited.
Yeah.
Like it can be anybody.
As long as it's not the Eagles and Chiefs, like they don't need any more help, please.
Yeah.
But anyway, that concludes here our video of the free agency prediction. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop your craziest prediction or trade prediction or draft prediction or free agency prediction in the comments and see if it comes true. All right. Thank you all for watching.